Hi, I'm Rocco Stano, and welcome to Storymakers. Today, we're meeting Anthony Manna and Donald Babisch, and we are going to be talking about their book, Loukas and the Game of Chance. Welcome to Storymakers, gentlemen.
Hello.
Well, thank you. Good to see you. Thank you so much we just love being here. Thank you.
Yes, we love having you. And one of the things about Storymakers is I learn so many things from the people I meet. And I enjoyed your book, which I have right here. And it has these stickers on the front. And it says reader's favorite and Story Monster approved. Can you tell me about those stickers on the cover?
Well, yes. I mean, they're both Story Monsters means that the book was endorsed by children themselves because that's what storymonsters.com is all about. And the other one was a competition from Canada. And it was very nice to be a finalist. We felt quite honored. Because they're talking about both the story itself and the illustration. So that's what that's all about.
And, books take you all over the world. So this book is based on a Greek folktale, is that correct?
Yes.
And tell us about your main character, Loukas.
Loukas was my invention. The story that I based it on is called The Snake Tree. And some people say to me, well, then you really just retold that story. And I said, no, not really. I took that basic story, which is very economical because most folk tales and fairy tales they get right to the point. And I challenged myself before I gave the story over to the illustrator, Donald Babisch. I challenged myself to create a full-fledged fantasy. And so Loukas came to me and, he's not in the original in that story called The Snake Tree, and Loukas is such a good kid, and he's also a flute player. He's got a heart of gold, and he lives in a very poor family. They're on an island in the Aegean. I never really did name Greece. I just thought it should be an island in the Aegean and leave it up to people's imaginations. He grows to the point that. He goes off to the seawall on this island where he likes to hang out by himself sometimes and plays his flute as he overlooks the bustle of the port. And one day he's playing away, and out of nowhere comes a slithering snake who responds to Loukas' music and starts dancing. That's the beginning of their friendship.
That's very interesting. It reminds me of a snake charmer. Would you call Loukas a snake charmer?
I guess I never put it in that context, but yes, of course he could be a snake charmer because what happens is they become such good friends. And in the meantime now, I should mention this is so important that every time Loukas ends the music and the snake slithers away, he leaves behind not one, not two, but 3 gold coins. And of course, for a poor family of fisher folk on this island, 3 gold coins is just an opening to a completely different life, which does happen. And so, whereas they are at one point one of the poorest families, they become the wealthiest on the island because every time Loukas plays, the gratitude of the snake, whose name becomes Lambros, because Lambros is the word for faithfulness and for just good friendship, etc., etc. And Lambros leaves behind coins each time, and the family becomes very wealthy. And as Loukas grows up, the friendship develops more and more. And at one point, Lambros actually talks. And so now we have a dancing, talking snake.
And Donald, you were charged in creating these characters visually. And tell us the method you used to create the illustrations for the book.
The method comes from my imagination, and consulting with Tony about his idea of what some of these characters might look like. So it was kind of a combination of both of our minds put together. And it changed frequently, especially the one character called the Keeper of the Forest. He originally thought about it as being a wizard, and I was kind of repelled by that idea because it was so common, so ordinary. I said, let's do something really different. And so we came up with this really, I think, an unusual character who is the Keeper of the Forest. The other problem that I remember, the three sisters, the enchantresses, as he calls them, I had a lot of thinking and imagining to do on how I wanted them to look. I wanted them to be kind of intriguing and mysterious.
When Loukas first meets them, of course, he doesn't know that they are enchantresses. He's on the road now because he has lost everything, including his family. Because by this time in the story, Loukas is married and he has 2 children. And at a game of chance, and that's where the title comes from, which is a card game with a very greedy merchant, he loses everything at this card game and sets off to find Destiny.
And Destiny was a real character to deal with because Destiny rules the whole island practically like a goddess. And that, I had trouble getting a grip on how I wanted to present her. She had to be strong. She also had to be kind and generous, but there was some kind of demeanor where she had a very strong personality. I did some of that with exaggeration of body parts.
What I like about her too is that the illustrator Donald avoided turning her into a princess, like a fairy tale princess. I mean, she's quite different looking. The way he placed her hair over one of her eyes, etc. I mean, she looks like someone who could be a ruler. She's a very strong character.
When you depict the 3 enchantress, you kind of merge the 3 women together in one of the illustrations. Was that a technique you purposely used to help the reader find out about these women?
Well, there's only one illustration that shows the 3 sisters. I just have them very close together. But that page also shows the 3 problems that Loukas encounters as he's going through the forest. There's the 3 enchantresses, and then there's Kenon.
The spirit of the dried up river.
Yes. And then the third problem Loukas runs into is behind that, it's the 2 mountains who are fighting for what reason?
These mountains are in a perpetual state of movement, forward and backward, and it's agonizing, and it's just it's really earth shattering. And so later on, Loukas finds out from Destiny that the reason why they are quaking like this is because they have caused all sorts of problems with their earthquakes, etc., to people, and so they need to calm down.
Donald, do you have some favorite illustrations?
One of my favorite illustrations is the Keeper of the Forest. Actually, I kind of looked at it like one of these children's toys called a transformer, where it starts out looking like an army tank and it turns into a pussycat. And that kind of went through my mind when I was creating the Keeper, because I wanted to be humorous. I wanted him to be silly. I wanted him to make people laugh. He's holding a double-tiered umbrella. I exaggerated his fingers and his feet and kind of an outrageous costume. And it looks like he's dancing. But he could also change again like a child's transformer toy into something else.
That's right.
And I did. That's one of my favorite illustrations. And I think the last illustration in the book I like very much. I think it was very effective because the story ends with the wager between Loukas and the merchant. Loukas says that he will give the merchant a bag of gold and he can keep Loukas's house because the wager depends on the sun rising in the west. And the merchant gets hysterical. Of course, I'll take that wager because it's never going to happen. So in that illustration, the sun is rising in the west. Many of the townspeople are illustrated there in silhouette. And you can see part of the village in the background. And they're all pointing up, looking, oh, look, the sun's coming up in the west. They're just mystified. How could this ever happen?
Yeah. Well, it's a miracle. And what I love about that page is that how I had written a child into the discovery of the sun doing this magical thing. And And I love that Donald, the illustrator, used that child in that illustration. It does something for me to relate it to the children who I hope will read this book or will be read to.
In creating the illustrations, Donald, did you get to visit Greece to get a feel for the country?
I had been to Greece, yes. Tony and I were in Greece for a month several years back. We were there for the month of October, and we were in Thessaloniki and Athens. And I did get a feel for I loved Greece. I thought it was a wonderful place. One of my fondest memories is taking a train from Thessaloniki to Athens, which was about an 8-hour train drive, because it stopped at every village. But the good thing about that was you got to see these people, these villagers. My memories came back to me when I was working on those illustrations, especially the last one where the people are seeing the sun coming up in the west.
So, Anthony, you mentioned how the snake gives Loukas coins, and they became the richest family in the village. And, it's very interesting when you travel around the world to look at the coins from different countries, because they all tend to have some sort of symbol or image on the coins. And what we thought would be a fun activity for our viewers is to create their own coin, to look at some foreign coins or even coins from the US that are at home and look at the various images. I have a coin here that is from Hong Kong, and in the back there is an image of a flower. And then I have a coin from Great Britain, and it has, of course, Queen Elizabeth on one side, and it has 2 griffins on the back. So I thought it would be fun if our viewers create their own coin from a mythical country. What do you think?
Well, I think that since a very small part of the coin is shown in that one illustration, it's very dark. And so you'd have to use your imagination and decide what the rest of the coin might look like. And that might come from the ideas that you find in the story about Loukas and the Game of Chance. By looking at the other illustrations, what the village looked like, what the 3 sisters looked like, and Loukas's wife and children, and then what words were used, what names were used, and maybe some of those things could be incorporated in the drawing of the coin.
If you decide to create a coin for Loukas and the Game of Chance, and you post it online, use the hashtag Loukas Coins. And Loukas is spelled Loukas. Loukas Coins. So, gentlemen, it was great meeting you both. Although we're not in the same room, it was a delight to find out about the creation of your book, Loukas and the Game of Chance. Thanks for being with us.
And thank you for inviting us.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
And remember, until next time, read a book in any format.